Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to dive into a topic that touches just about every meal you eat, and it's processed foods. Before you brace yourself for some scary, intense lecture, I'm going to break this down for you in plain English. Here's the truth. There's no single universally accepted definition of what counts as a processed food. So I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible and put foods into two categories. There are foods that build our health, and then there are foods that rob our health. And generally speaking, the more whole and less processed a food is, the more it will support our health. And the more it's been broken down, the more it's been deconstructed, changed from its original form, maybe rebuilt in some factory, that the more it's going to end up taking away from our health or robbing from our health. So what I mean by deconstructed food, I'm going to take corn as an example. Picture an ear of corn. It's bright, golden, juicy, you got to husk it, right? That's food in its original form. Even the kernel, although it's technically processed because it was taken off of the cob and it was harvested from the ground, it's processed, but that kernel of corn still has all of its fiber, its nutrients. It still looks like corn, and it has all the parts that made it corn. It's still in its natural form. Now, if you compare that to a corn chip, it's an unnatural form. Because to make a corn chip, a corn kernel, you have to grind it down, blast it with heat, treat it with chemicals, strip it of its fiber, strip it of all of its nutrients, and then that deconstructed blob that's been changed is reassembled in a factory into something that's crunchy and salty. The result is something that looks like food, tastes like food, it's fun to eat, but it's miles away from its original corn plant. Same with potatoes turning into potato chips, or maybe a steak turning into a hot dog, or an orange turning into orange juice. They're all deconstructed. Here's the kicker. Almost every food you buy at a grocery store that comes in a package has gone through some degree of processing. Unless you're pulling apples directly off of the tree or maybe carrots straight from the ground and out of the dirt, you're dealing with some form of processing at some level. But there's a big difference between light processing, washing, chopping, freezing, harvesting, and what we call ultra processing. And ultra processing is where we get into trouble. These ultra processed foods have been changed so much that they don't even resemble their original form. Ultra processed foods are sometimes nicknamed Frankenfoods, and for good reason. It's because they're very unnatural, just like Frankenstein was unnatural. A simple way to think about it is if you could make or prepare some food in your own grandmother's kitchen, it probably is just minimally processed or regular processing. But if you need an industrial factory or a chemistry set, it's going to be ultra processed. You could grind wheat into flour at home, but there's no way you could make Triscuits or Ritz crackers or Oreos at home. You just can't. You need a factory. And before you panic and say, oh my gosh, I can't eat any ultra processed food anymore, remember the poison is in the dose. All poison should be avoided. It's all dangerous, but the poison is in the dose, right? So for example, alcohol is a poison, right? But one shot of tequila at a New Year's Eve party, you're the life of the party. A whole bottle of tequila at the party, you're dead at the party, right? Because the poison is in the dose. Ultra processed foods don't have to be banished forever all the time, but you do need to recognize them as poisonous and minimize their role in your diet. It should not be a staple in your diet. So how do you spot them? How do you spot an ultra processed food? They almost always come in packages or boxes. They're almost always loaded with additives and ingredients that are unhealthy, and worse, they're not found in your grandmother's pantry. There's sugar, there's salt, there's fat, huge amounts, and usually there are ingredients in there that you can't pronounce. Maybe artificial colorings, flavorings, food dyes, preservatives. They're designed to be cheap, convenient, and very irresistible foods, right? Sodas, chips, candies, deli meats, cereals, hot dogs, cookies, cakes, stuff you grab, fast food, McDonald's, Starbucks, Subway. A good tool for understanding food processing is the NOVA classification system because it splits foods into 4 groups. Group 1, unprocessed, minimally processed foods. These are your fresh fruits, vegetables, beans, eggs, fresh meat, nuts, seeds, fish, right? These foods look like foods. They look like they were found in nature. They look natural. Group 2 foods, these are processed culinary ingredients, things we cook with, like olive oil, coconut oil, maybe salt, honey, butter, maple syrup. They occur naturally, and they're made from Group 1 foods, typically just used in cooking. Now, Group 3 foods are foods from Group 1 and 2 that are combined, right? So like cheese, bread, fermented vegetables. They tend to be higher in calories. You want to, but they're not dangerous. Group 4 foods, these are the ultra-processed foods. These are the sodas, the noodles, the chicken nuggets, the candies. These are mostly industrial substances with very little actual food left in them, the Starbucks, right? For our purposes, we're going to keep it simple. Group 1 foods, whole foods. Groups 2 and 3, processed foods. Group 4, ultra-processed. This is the category we want to eliminate or limit as much as possible. And here's an important point. Just because something is labeled plant-based doesn't mean it's good for you. Hershey's syrup, Pepsi, Pop-Tarts, Oreos, they're all plant-based, but they're Group 4 foods, right? We're not going to mistake these for healthy foods, even though they're plant-based. Don't be fooled by packaging claims either. Fat-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, heart-healthy. Generally, those are put on ultra-processed foods to make you buy them. Health claims on the box does not magically make it healthy. Just means it's, somebody's claiming to get you to buy it, right? So the takeaway here, move your eating toward whole foods whenever you can. Pile your plate with Group 1, the fruits, the veggies, the beans, the whole grains, the lean proteins. Group 2 ingredients, olive oil, honey, you can use them to cook. Group 3 foods in moderation, fresh breads, cheeses, right? Because they tend to be higher calories. We can overeat them. Then Group 4 foods, the ultra-processed, the Frankenfoods. Keep them on the sidelines. Keep them out of your diet. Unusual events, but don't eat them regularly. Because the more you shift to a whole food and minimally processed diet, the more energy you have, the more resilience, the more long-term protection your body has. And the best part is that every little step counts. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do anything right all the time. You just want to move in the right direction. So the next time you're in a grocery aisle, waiting at a drive-through line, ask yourself, am I choosing something that builds my health or robs it? Is there maybe a better choice where I am that's less robbing or better health building? That's all for today. My name is Dr. Quartell. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, your body runs best on real food, real fuel. And if you want to speak with me about this or anything else, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, Dr. Quartell from Quartell Chiropractic right here in Palm Beach Gardens.